Alright, what's going on, guys? It looks like it is finally getting back to that time again, back to a time that built the foundation of this channel, when the speculation starts to run rampant and the leaks and rumors start to emerge. Now, you guys know that one of the things I try to always do on this channel is keep you up to date on what is going on at Fromsoftware, but I have to be honest, there's been a bit of news that I've been sitting on for a little bit that I haven't reported here on the channel because the timing wasn't exactly right. Little small things that have been happening that haven't really warranted a whole video on their own. However, due to what happened this morning, everything is now tying together and we need to talk about it. But I need to say a few more things before I tell you about what happened today. Since it's been a while since we talked about leaks here on the channel, let me remind you guys to take everything with a grain of salt. We are going to talk about all the details of the leak and all the context surrounding it, but let me say this leak sounds extremely fishy. But I want to talk about it in context of the other events. Because there's been times when we covered leaks here on the channel that I thought were totally real and they turned out to be fake, and ones that I thought were fake that turned out to be completely real. So as we get into it today, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you want to stay up to date on all the leaks, rumors, and news, it's a win-win for both of us. But before we get into the leak, let me tell you about a major event that happened that is also the apparent source of the information. It's being reported across several different news outlets that Bandai Namco has actually been hacked by a ransomware group. Now, at the time of me recording this, all the details of that hack are currently unknown, but let me go ahead and fill you in for those of you that don't know what a ransomware hack is. Basically, what happens is the hackers get into files of the source, encrypt those files where the original owner cannot access them, and then either steal the data or return it back for usually a hefty price, hence the name ransomware. Now, typically those files can come in a lot of different forms. If you remember a while back, several game source codes were hacked by ransomware, but it can also come in the form of internal data like employee information, really something you don't want to happen. The article reports that there's no detail yet on what data the group may have obtained, and Bandai Namco is yet to acknowledge the hack. Eurogamer has reached out for a comment, and of course there are fears that the data will include private information regarding Bandai Namco's employees as well as user details. But perhaps more likely, judging on recent precedent, is the threat to the company of a damaging leak of internal documentation, such as confidential deals with developers, employee communications, and video game source code. Previous ransomware attacks have targeted companies such as Capcom, EA, and CD Projekt Red, with the former subject to a damaging leak that revealed details of its upcoming product schedule for years to come. And that, by the way, is the leak we're going to talk about for Bandai. But following its own hack, CD Projekt Red's source code, assets, and videos showing work in progress builds of Cyberpunk 2077 were also leaked online. Finally, last year, hackers who stole source code to FIFA 21 and game engine Frostbite attempted to sell the data online. So these are the kind of things we could see come from this Bandai hack. Now, let me address something really quickly that I think a lot of people aren't considering. Yes, it is possible that we do get inside information about upcoming games and releases, but hacks like this are extremely dangerous to the people that work there, and can also be very dangerous if you've ever bought something from the Bandai website, such as Elden Ring. This hack could give them access to employee information, and even your information. Names, address, birthdays, credit card information. This is not something to get excited about. But as the article said, we don't know exactly what was breached yet, and hopefully Bandai addresses this soon, because it is quite a scary situation. Now, before we talk about this potential leak, let me get you up to speed on something else that happened that provides another bit of context. A few days ago, very strangely, the Elden Ring dev website was in a bit of a flux. If you were to go looking for the Fromsoftware official website, none of the SEO data for the website would appear and it would only show the words Armored Core. Now, if you've been keeping up with the leaks and rumors here on the channel recently, it's been all but confirmed that the next Fromsoftware game coming out is going to be Armored Core. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Armored Core, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here. If you want to learn more about it, I made a video on it a while back, breaking down everything there is to know about Armored Core and the leaks surrounding it. So I'd recommend checking that out after this video, but a new Armored Core game has been rumored for a long time now, and is more than likely what we're going to be seeing next from Fromsoftware. However, while this website change was interesting, and is more than a cause for some raised eyebrows, it may actually be a false alarm. The article reads, unfortunately for speculators, this seems more likely to be an error on behalf of Fromsoftware and Google, as the website doesn't appear to have a proper meta tag to call it Fromsoftware, so Google seemingly pulled it from the top of the alphabetical game listed, which is of course Armored Core. We're labeling this as a false alarm for now, nevertheless it is suspicious timing considering we're all expecting Armored Core to be Fromsoftware's next game. So it is definitely interesting why that would happen considering all the leaks going around right now. And Fromsoftware reporting that their next game is in the final stages of development, but the chances lean towards this being a false alarm. But now that we've all got our tinfoil hats on, let's talk about what else happened today, and once again take this with a massive grain of salt. Very shortly after the news broke of the Bandai Namco hack, an image started circulating online that supposedly showed all the upcoming releases of the next fiscal year for Bandai Namco, and to call it interesting would be a massive understatement. It showed that in the quarter 1 of fiscal year 2023 we were going to be getting a new Armored Core, a new Dragon Ball, but the thing that caught everybody's eye was over in quarter 3 of fiscal year 2023 that has a new Elden Ring title, with a subtitle of words that are unreadable on this picture. Now at first glance I wrote this off as BS because some major red flags stuck out to me. First off, the way the image was blurred was really inconsistent. Everything on the picture was readable except for the Elden Ring subtitle. In addition to that, typically if a business was going to have an internal calendar, I find it kind of odd that they would have it labeled on the fiscal year, as they're dealing with Japanese and American companies, and the fiscal year is different for each one. I also talked with several other people about this leak, because a lot of the other games that are listed on there are also weird and very inconsistent with news that has come out recently. Now correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, but I was told that the new Digimon game that's listed at the bottom was confirmed to not be Cyber Sleuth, and apparently the developers of Little Nightmares said that they weren't making any more games. And then I also saw a message that apparently going forward the Tekken logos were not going to be having kanji. However, all of those are games that I do not keep up with, so I can't confirm one way or the other. So after seeing all that, I wrote this off as untrue, but then I started to get a little more information. I was then sent a much higher resolution image of this, which checked off one of my red flags of the blurriness being inconsistent. And you can then read that the Elden Ring subtitle says Barbarians of the Badlands, which is kind of a corny title, but I'll let it slide for now. And then I noticed another major red flag. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, it says Bandai Namco Group Corporation. Now a simple Google search will show you that they are never referred to in this way, at least not publicly. The corporate part of Bandai is known as Bandai Namco Holdings Incorporated. But again, if we're gonna go with the benefit of the doubt, this leak is from internal sources. But let's go ahead and brush aside all those red flags and talk about the important parts in relation to this channel. I would say it is possible that the next Armored Core game is simply called Armored Core. It's probably unlikely, but again it's possible, given that all the leaks that reference a new Armored Core simply call it a new Armored Core game. But when it comes to Elden Ring, this is probably talking about a DLC, and like I said, the name Barbarians of the Badlands is kinda corny, but it has been speculated that we may get a DLC taking place in the Badlands. For those of you that don't know, the Badlands were the place that the Tarnished went and fought after they were originally exiled from the Lands Between under the guidance of Godfrey. And we do have files of cut dialogue from Godfrey, otherwise known as Hoaraloo, that's seemingly being said before the events of the game. So while kind of unlikely, a Badlands DLC is very possible. Now as for quarter 3 of 2023 release, for me I think that is also possible. That puts it releasing in fall of next year, and given the scale of Elden Ring, I don't expect it to come out much sooner. Now the interesting part of this leak is that it did come right after the news of the Bandai hack, and it is very well made. So if it is fake, which I do think it is, the person definitely does have their connections. I did go searching for a lot of the logos that you can see on there, and there are a couple of them that I couldn't find outside of this leak. So whoever made it didn't simply whip this up in an hour or two. So here's my verdict. I don't think this leak is real, but I will hold out about 10 to 20% of skepticism, just giving the quality of it and the impeccable timing. But that's about all I'm gonna say about that leak. The Bandai Namco hack is a very big deal, and I will keep you guys updated on if anything comes of that. Hopefully nothing too bad. But in the meantime, that's gonna pretty much do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on it and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.